Hello, and welcome to the Cubicorn Games Podcast. My name is Dustin Morbido. We are going to be talking about a couple of video games that we've been playing, mostly that Lorraine Morbido has been playing.
Who? Never heard of her.
We've
Never
got
met
some
her.
Super Cucumber development updates,
Pew, 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 pew.
and that's about it. It'll be a much shorter show than last time because we haven't come back from a a gigantic out-of-town trip to talk about.
We haven't gone anywhere.
Oh, sure haven't. We're back in regular life mode for
Hell
reals,
yeah.
which is fine. It's been okay. Like, I've finally just now, as of like the past couple days, really getting into deeper into game dev stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, let's just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
So we're still really getting into it for the next Cucumber update that should be out in November. I would say probably the middle of the month, like definitely before Thanksgiving, but probably not even probably at least a week or two before then, because that's always like the last Thursday. Is that right? It doesn't
Third
matter.
Thursday.
Whatever. Before that happens for sure.
It's the
In America
27th.
at least. So like mid-November. But it's coming along. I'm finally making some meaningful implementation progress on the boss fight for the laboratory tower, Tower 5. It'll be fun to actually test it. Like, we've kicked a bunch of ideas around and have finally settled on, as we described last time, something to implement. And so we'll get a base version of that up and see how we feel about it and work backwards from there. And then just being in that mode of thinking about bosses and boss fights and what's left ahead of us. We basically have 2 more big boss encounters that we're hoping to make.
Getting into like a rough state.
Yeah, to get into. Well, they should be in the final game, but
Yeah, but I mean now, like physically now, we're getting them into like a rough conceptual state.
as of the last 24 hours, I have started thinking about like, oh, maybe I'll kind of like. I'm gonna still try to do everything I intended to do.
Storyboarding stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna still try to do everything else I intended to do for this other update in terms of a little bit of extra music and more levels and getting this laboratory fight up and running. But this might be our first pivot in a while into changing up our workflow, whereas up to this point, we still have built almost every single thing in the game linearly, like in order of when you would count it in the final product.
I still think that's pretty good, especially for like progressively harder platforming. Just like the player needs to have the knowledge, like we need to know what they've done before and like how to twist the knobs, where to like dial up to like just kind of make it more the kind of curve we want the thing to go.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing up at this point, but at the same time, we're now at the point where we have a target release date, and so that is a factor, and I do think that stopping some of that stuff from a functional standpoint. Again, I've been able to do a medium job, I'd say, reusing code and like making things relatively approachable to stand up from like fight to fight and stuff like that with our existing infrastructure, but at the same time it does take more effort to do that from a cold start from a few months ago than I think to segue straight into it. And so yeah, I'm hoping to maybe on the longer timeline of the project just save a little more time, at least getting all that stuff stood up into a very prototype state, possibly all at once, than kind of doing it 2 more separate times over the next year and a half.
Yeah. I'd also argue that the laboratory boss is more conceptually different than a lot of the other ones, and I feel like there are more things potentially going to be in common with the final 2, even 2 other boss fights we've had, like from just a straight like function and code perspective. Like they're obviously going to do unique things, but like the kind of flow, like, and we were getting more like that kind of like fight flow sort of patched together for what we want going forward. So it's just kind of like, oh, like once we know that, it's easier to like, oh, I need to be able to do like X, Y, Z, A, and all of these things have been done. Like, oh, A and Y have been done 2 different ways, or like they were done on like 2 separate bosses. We can kind of like either port or just straight up inherit from other classes. Like we do that with enemies too all the time. And the other bosses already have stuff like that in them as well, like for functionality.
And more than anything, in terms of this is like our kind of calendar pre-PAX East next year. So basically, like before March of 2026, I just think it'll behoove us from like a workflow standpoint to get as much into the game as possible that is wholly new. Again, to hopefully have at least the linear path completely done at that point. But if failing that, or like in sort of lockstep with that, have a version of everything that will be in the final game. Basically have like what I think in more traditional like AAA circles, what they'd call a beta is like every functional thing is in it.
Yeah.
And it's just about putting them together in different ways and polishing up and stuff like that.
Sanding off rough edges.
Yeah.
Shining up the
but there is no
slightly
new
scuffed things.
New type of enemy or new boss or whatever. Hopefully we'll get really close to that target. No like bespoke mechanic that hasn't already been created in some way that, again, maybe it's not working right 100% or whatever.
But yeah, it's like
maybe we'll
something
tweak
is
it,
there
yeah.
to be it.
But yeah, we're not spitballing like broad big
Not,
picture
yeah,
stuff
yeah, I
anymore.
would say we're past
not,
blue sky. We're or we'll get to. We'll be at that state. We'll be past that part of the development.
I sure hope so. So we'll see. But that's the goal. Is in the next like 4 or 5 months to really get locked in on getting some of the stuff stood up in some way, shape, or form. But it's going okay so far.
Hell yeah!
By the end of this week, I will have a rough prototype for Lorraine to test for just like something that happens in that laboratory boss fight, and then we'll just keep working backwards from there, and work on a bunch of other stuff. And my plate is full of things to do, so we'll keep at it. I think that's all for my gameplay updates. You kind of like you basically gave me the last of the art you need in the short term. You've kind of been.
I mean, because a lot of my stuff for the 5th boss fight will come more after it's been tested a bit, like, and we figure out what we want him to really do.
Yeah.
So like we have ideas, like we've spitballed, cataloged, written down a bunch of stuff, but I won't know exactly what I'll be needing to make until we know what he's doing, and that won't happen until we know how he's going to do anything.
Yeah, and again, I think that makes sense. Same thing from a project planning standpoint of like, I'd rather have you like spread that kind of like final production art pipeline out over like up until like, a month or two before release, as opposed to like squishing, trying to, this weekend you gotta like, go ape shit or whatever, and get, like, so I feel like the earlier we get that stuff stood up in a gameplay way, the earlier we can lock in, I know this is actually what we need, and then slowly over the next, over the months after that, just keep socketing stuff in as you finish it up and whatever.
And one of the nice things about this boss in particular is, while he's very large, it's not as much large scale animation. He's a little more module, which is nice. And that like makes my workflow definitely easier, because I'm not like going in and drawing like 70 images. We are just kind of like compositing mostly in Unity specifically, we're compositing that stuff together and like using it in different ways in there, which I think like we've done stuff like that before in different ways across the board. So yeah, right now I'm in a little bit of a like big push holding pattern. Like there's nothing mission critical that's hinging on me at the moment. I've been doing a little bit more decorative assets for Tower 5. One of the things that had stood out to me is that it can be very easy to get like super turned around in there, because it is just like we don't have that stuff made yet. So I made a handful of things that will just give you maybe like a kind of point of reference in space, like, oh, I did pass this before, and still could be more, but we'll see. Like I also don't want to like make it too busy, which is a thing that I've always been fairly cognizant of, between like patterns I use in tiling, specific like fixtures putting in places, and then also because of how weird this kind of like gimmick or mechanic is with the rotating, like you really don't want there to be too much like happening at once, so you get just like completely lost. So I've been working hard like between like tweaking some stuff, maybe making the background a little bit more like the actual like background wall a little bit more than just a single tile plastered over everything. I'm pretty happy with the stuff that I've made thus far for that, and then a few things that'll lay on top of that, like some cables and wires and a few pipes to just have in the background.
Just got to keep grinding. And that's about it for gameplay updates, I think, for Super Cucumber updates. But we're just going to keep on keeping on. Try to remember to maybe post like a picture or two of the really rough like boss setup so far. Give people something to look at when I post this online tomorrow. I'll throw in the Discord server, which you can join by going to Super Cucumber, search for Super Cucumber on Steam, wishlist the game, and click the Discord link to join up, or go to cubicorngames.com and click the Discord link at the top of the page. And you too can get updates about Super Cucumber other than the ones we give you here. But you can get these too, because
it's true. Post the podcast links there too.
Yeah, you can also hear more about stuff we've been playing every once in a while, which Lorraine is going to go into a bit right now, I think. Because I haven't played anything, really, in the last like week and a half or so. I do still want to play more RoboQuest. I do still want to play more Ninja Gaiden, but
I'd be really curious to see what the multiplayer is like with that, if you and Chris end up playing.
Yeah,
I definitely want to like
definitely try to do that at some point.
They were at SumCon this past weekend.
Yeah, it's I want to play more stuff, but I've been really busy. I had like other
juggling a couple things.
Yeah, lots of other life stuff to to do. Again, nothing major, just like random shit that needed to get done. And then I'm still, again, when the forked path presents me with play a video game or work on the video game, I really need to be doing the work thing more often than not. But that said, I do want to keep playing stuff too. And honestly, I'm thinking more about trying Silk Song at some point, just giving it a shot. I suspect, again, it's another one of those things where I feel like I know myself so well, I think I know exactly how I'm going to react to it, which is like I probably will like a lot of the moment-to-moment gameplay of it, and then everything about it being a Metroidvania will probably put me off.
Yeah, I'm not a person of that genre. The only Metroid game I finished is Fusion, and I've never touched a Castlevania.
Yeah, but I do, and watching footage of it here and there on the internet, I do kind of want to put hands on it just to get the tactile sensation of the whole thing. Because that, again, that's just like watching it in motion and be like, man, if this was just like
platformer.
Yeah, if it was a structured like Ninja Gaiden, if it was more a linear platformer or more linear action game, I personally would be way more into it. But again, I already know that about myself. That's exactly how I felt about the first Hollow Knight, so I really doubt it's going to change with this one. But I will still probably give it a shot at some point, just to dip a toe in. But you've been playing a couple things.
Yeah. I tried, just in the realm of more indie games, I played Peak for the first time last week. With a couple friends of mine. We did succeed a mountain climb, and then we failed when we played it yesterday because I was betrayed, and I'm still mad about it.
So I have a couple questions about the game itself. So it's so the structure of it is you're basically in a little team of characters trying to get to the top of a mountain.
Yeah. So from what I haven't done a lot of looking myself, but from what I understand, the mountain changes.
That's what I was
daily.
Okay.
And from what I've also heard, it's not hand built. It is generated, but the devs are picking their favorites of the one. Like they're running the generation and then pushing whichever one they like of it.
So it's not necessarily, to your understanding, it's not necessarily an algorithm that runs idly and spits out.
No, it's a set
maps. It's
map.
They're running it. Maybe every week they run it a few hundred times and then pick their top 10 or whatever.
No, I think it's just one because it's like on the main menu you'll see time till new mountain. And it gives you like an hour count because there is like a cycle. I don't know exactly when it rotates over, when in the day, but there's one mountain a day, and it is random because there's a couple different biomes, but I think it always starts at the beach and ends at this volcano. The in between gets shuffled around. I've only played on 2 mountains and have seen a bunch of different things. There's like environmental hazards. There's just like obstacles in the way. You've got, I wouldn't call it a Zelda stamina meter because your stamina meter is also like your hit points, and you get debuffs on it from like, oh, you're carrying your weight on there, your hunger, status effects, are you injured? Like that all depletes your stamina, like what reserves you have.
And if it zeroes out, you're dead. You're done.
Yeah. Well, I think you can like go unconscious, and then like the status effects can go away. People can, and then you can be like revived or whatever once you get to the top of one of the mountain, because there's like it's a progressively taller like mountain. You get to the top of one biome, the next biome opens up and you go even higher.
Are those like checkpoints where you get like refreshed stamina or like other resources or something? Or?
Well, it doesn't refresh it. You just have like the option, like you can get, if everyone's alive, you can get like a really good item, or the thing that'll give you the item will revive the other characters. They'll give you more like supplies. Like good supply drops will happen there, and you also are just like given like this little campfire that you can light, and you can roast a marshmallow on, and you can eat it to get like, it gives you a pretty big boost of like how like stamina, and reduces your hunger a lot.
Okay. What determines whether you can revive a player or not? Is that an item, or is it like
there's a statue? So when you get to that summit, there's a statue, and that's where you revive players. Like you interact with the statue, it breaks, the players come back to life. Or if everyone is alive, you get an item instead of it reviving people who aren't dead.
Okay, interesting. And you described like there's kind of encumbrance for
you
gear and stuff.
You have
that.
like 3 just like hand slots, and then you can pick up backpacks which have like 4 more slots in there, but everything has weight.
So the more stuff
whatever
you have,
you're holding,
the faster your stuff depletes.
That weight shows. It basically grays out part of your bar. That's what all these things do. So you've got like a single green bar for your stamina, but as you get hungry, a chunk of that will be designated to hunger, and it will go up the longer you don't eat something. If you're holding a lot of stuff, a chunk of it is then portioned out to be that weight. You get like poisoned, or you're in the sun too long, or it's the one like ice level, you're out in the cold too long, or like the snowstorm comes up. That takes up, those things slot into your stamina bar and cover it up, so you have less to
So
work
while
with.
you're encumbered, it's permanently decreasing your max stamina.
You just have less to work with. So it's like, you say, picture a bar, and like a third of it is like taken up by
And
a
it's worth
different color.
1,000 stamina points or whatever. So if it was full, you'd have 1,000. But then if you have a backpack on,
That has
it
like
basically
20.
takes 300 off of there
Yeah,
as a number.
depending
I'm
on how
making
much
up.
weight you have
Yeah,
inside backpack.
and so at that point, you have a maximum of 700 stamina.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can overload your stamina with certain like food and items and stuff, but they can come with consequences.
The thing I was going to ask is, when a player falls, like when they die or whatever, do you have to carry them back, or does like a surviving player just have to reach the next place?
So it like you can, so there's like when you die, you can get like picked up. I think that just encumbers the players more. I don't know. I whenever one of us has died, we always are falling way far away. So at that point, you just kind of like you just kind of forego that period. You can just like, it says give up on it, and you're just like a little like floaty ghost that just kind of hangs around. Like you can still like circle around. You can check between the players who are still alive, and you can still talk with people once you're a ghost. And then they get to the top, and you just come back. So they don't have to like. It's not like Spelunky where you had to like carry the corpse with you or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When you say talk with, does this game have in-game voice
Yes,
chat?
proximity chat.
Okay. Got
So
it.
if suddenly you don't hear someone,
They're not there anymore.
there's a good
Okay.
chance they're dead, or they've wandered off in some direction, and you can't hear them because they're too far away. There's like reverb when you're in a cave. Like there's a lot of effects on it to like simulate that you're like actually there.
That's fun, I suppose. I wonder how many people do that, like, or how many people just like get on Discord because it's easier.
I mean, we've been doing it. We're still technically in Discord, but we'll mute ourselves in there and just use the in-game.
Sure. In your opinion, how has the level design felt? Like, has it felt like of the times, because you played it 2 or 3 times at this point?
2 times.
Okay, so you've experienced 2 different mountains.
Correct.
Basically. Have you felt that they like seemed interesting enough, like,
Yeah.
or did they feel a little bit boring? I was just.
No, I mean, because like there's like all the different biomes, like have different like little effects on them. Because like the ones I think I've seen all of them now. We died in the one that was new to me yesterday. But there's like a jungle that has a lot of vines you can like use to get higher, but there's also a lot of like thorns and poison things. Sometimes it'll rain, and that makes your stamina go down a lot faster, a la like Breath of the Wild. There's like an ice mountain where occasionally like the wind will pick up a lot, and if you're out exposed, you will get like frostbite. I'm pretty sure that just goes down if you get out of the wind, and it does stop like the rain after a while. The mesa, if you're not in the shade, you're getting sunburned and like heat stroke basically. There's also these like windstorm tornadoes that can just like pick you up and throw you places. So that's exciting. And then the last area is this like volcano place with hot rocks you don't want to be touching. There's lava that's rising up because you start in this big exterior place and you're working your way up to the mountain, and then you travel inside of the volcano. So you're basically climbing up a cone to get to the top, and the lava will rise there as well to meet you.
So basically like go into like the chamber from Lord of the Rings at the end, but then you have to climb up.
Yeah.
From inside
you're
it.
much lower, and you're going to like the actual top because you're getting rescued by a helicopter, which you have to climb onto. Like you still have to grab the rope and like go up into the helicopter. Characters are really cute and silly.
Is the ultimate end goal still just to have somebody in the party finish?
Yeah.
Are there any fun bonuses or whatever, other than like, is it just bragging rights if everybody in your party gets to like makes it to the end?
Because we technically made it with one person dead the first time, the only time we've succeeded. And I think it was like there might be like achievements or something, because you can unlock like other cosmetic things. Like you have because you're like scouts, that's what they call the little player characters, and you have these like Boy Scout like sashes on, and your achievements become little patches on there. You get different outfits, like other just silly little like expressions, blah blah blah.
I was just curious if there were like a scoring system or like grades or something. It's like, oh, you did it real fast and everybody survived, you got an S or whatever.
No, I think it's just kind of like those tie into those achievements as opposed to like ranking, like because it'll show you like when you finish, or if everyone dies, you get like they'll show you a chart like, oh, how high did everyone get, where did people die, because it goes over the whole run that you've done, so it can go like it adds together all of the the peaks, the different mountains you were climbing. So it's like, oh, you got up here,
Mm-hmm.
then you start up this next one, and then somebody fell really far and they died.
Right.
So they like go just straight down and they come back later. And
I mean, that's fine. That makes sense to me for that type of game where it's a good chunk of it is kind of just like hanging out, doing something cooperative. Very
it's
interesting.
cute. It's silly.
You've been having fun so far?
Yeah.
As far as the
If I hadn't been sabotaged, I'd be having a lot more fun. You know what you did.
as far as the tactile sensation of the like movement and the interaction and stuff in general, how does it feel to control your character?
It's okay. Like, I don't know if it's just because I'm playing on controller and not mouse and keyboard, but like it doesn't feel the most responsive half the time. Like, getting unstuck from a wall can be really annoying.
I'm assuming it's very physicsy. Would you say that's
It
accurate
can
in your
be,
opinion?
but it also feels like it's maybe a little more like exacerbated because it's like just because of how these like randomly extruded surfaces are. Like, they've made it fairly obvious, like using colors and textures, like what is a standable piece of geometry. Like, it'll always have like a slightly different colored surface. So like if you're climbing up, like, oh, can I stand on that? Yes, I can. And then you have to kind of like wobble your way into it. But like if you're on a slightly unstable surface, you kind of jiggle a lot naturally, which is really frustrating if you're trying to like stay somewhere. And then I've even had it just like not read button inputs occasionally, which is really
that
annoying.
Sucks a lot.
Again, I'm not sure if it's just a controller problem or if it's because like I'm using an Xbox 360 controller, if that controller is just kind of old at this point and not very responsive. I haven't tried switching it out. I have noticed a little bit of right stick drift because I don't normally play stuff with a
I mean, we got a lot
camera.
of controllers around here. We can get you a different controller.
But I normally, I haven't been playing a lot of stuff on my computer that utilizes the right stick for camera movement. So I've noticed it like just occasionally just start wandering off. But these controllers are also like 10, 15 years old at this point. They're just what I had next to my computer because I use them for testing more often than not. Like it when you're in the moment and things are working right, it feels pretty good. But like those like it's basically like starting and stopping actions can be a little weird. And some of the like, I mean, I'm sure it's intentional. Some of like the kind of like button sequences are really fiddly. Like you want to put something in your backpack, you either need to have somebody else put it in your backpack. You have to take the backpack off. You have to set it down. You have to interact with it. You have to store something. You have to pick it back up and put it back on you. And it's a little annoying.
I mean, I'm assuming the reason is to be fiddly, but is there an external motivation for why they would like is there like a timer or something, or like why
No.
I'm just wondering why again, other than to make it fiddly to be fiddly, like if there's not an external pressure from the game itself, or like, oh well, if I'm choosing to interact with my backpack, I know it's going to take 4 seconds, and that I can't spare this 4 seconds because we got to run from.
I mean, I think
this
it's
thing
just
that's gonna happen
because
for us.
like you need to be able to like, I think it's just another thing to like kind of put the screws to you of like, oh, you have to make sure you're on stable ground or your backpack's going to slide away and you're going to lose all the stuff in it. Or
Okay.
like,
so yeah, that's like that answers my other question of like, is it very physicsy?
yeah, I already said that.
No, that's fair. But even more than the character, it's like that. It's that kind of
Everything.
thing. Like right, like oh, I
Yeah.
put my thermos down
Well,
and it
because
rolled
like
away.
when you get like you'll find these like luggage boxes because like the thing is like your plane crashed and that's why you're on this
Okay.
place and you're trying to get
sure.
rescued. You'll find these big luggage boxes and they are all closed, but when you go to open them, the lid flings up. So if you're on the wrong side, you're gonna get hit by it,
Mm-hmm.
which is annoying. And there's other things that'll like certain plants, especially in the jungle, will just kind of like explode and push you off places. There's all kinds of stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. It sounds like the type of game that I would have assumed it was. It also sounds like the type of thing that I usually am less interested in personally.
Of all the things that the friend group that I hang out with who I'm playing this with have tried to get me to play, it was the thing that was most appealing to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound objectionable
It really depends on who you're playing with and like how cooperative or antagonistic you want to be. Because if you're just like,
Yeah.
one of the really cool things that I do like is that with like, because like you have the ability to like hold your hand out. And that'll get, like, you'll, like, grasp the person who's climbing up to you, pull them up the rest of the way to, like, save them on stamina. So, like, there's, like, that aspect of it. Like, oh, you got somewhere, like, just barely with your stamina. Other people are coming up behind you. You put your hand out. You get them over that last little hurdle.
Yeah.
Or we're like, oh, somebody fell, but they came back to us, like, and they're really injured. Like, who's got whatever. Like,
Sure.
that aspect of it is fun.
Yeah, like it sounds like there is merit to it. But it also is. Again, this might sound a tiny bit more derogatory than I mean it to be, but it also is like streamer slop, right? Like it's at least.
I mean, it's one of those kind of like
game,
meme games, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Where at least 50% of the game's like
Antics.
selling points is to be like it's kind of like
pogging out of your mind,
like
or
a physics-based tabletop RPG at that point, where a lot of what is special about it is coming from the people screaming at it or screaming at each other about it as like they fail to save each other or whatever. Yeah, that's again all that stuff like that particular thing. The put a bunch of masses on stuff and let Jesus take the wheel style. Those two like intersections of game design are two things I personally am super uninterested in.
Yeah,
but all that said, it doesn't sound like a poorly constructed product. Like it sounds like it's pretty successful at what it's intending to be.
There's a lot of like good thought put into it in a lot of ways, and a lot of silly things. Like one of the reasons that we were like kind of screwed over and got like ended up failing last night was because like we found there's like little secret areas in some of the biomes. I don't really know much about it, but we found a tomb in the mesa. So we went underground. There was a really weird like endless pit corridor that we had to like shimmy across the walls, and we got this golden statue that weighs a lot. But it makes you completely invulnerable from damage while you're holding it, and you have to take it to the volcano and sacrifice it in the volcano.
Okay, that's cool. I like that a lot.
So apparently the two people I was doing it with have never finished that part of it before. They've never taken it to the volcano. Mm-hmm. So our goal was to like we lost someone on the way.
Yeah.
I'm still not entirely sure how she died. And we had the statue and we were going. I think the volcano would have been the next biome because we'd already gone through the beach and the jungle. Mm-hmm. I think it's like 4 or 5, whatever in total. It's there. You won't see one of them during your playthrough of it.
Yeah.
And it's just completely random because you always start on the beach and you're always going to the volcano. So the two in between flip. I think that's how many there are per run. I don't really remember. It was a blur. But we failed because I got bamboozled in a like law rite of passage bullshitty kind of way, which I'm still not happy about. It was rude as fuck. But the one who tricked me got his comeuppance. So it was fine.
Well, again, that part of it sounds nice. I hope there are a handful of little things like that in there, just like fun little like secret things that have some amount of additional kind of gameplay complexity to them if you choose to participate in that. That sounds cool.
You have to be holding the statue in your hands, so you can't climb with it. So you're not safe from damage while you're climbing. You have to stow it to climb. So it's like and it is very heavy. It really encumbers you. I don't know if weight actually plays a factor in your sprinting. I'm not sure. I haven't really
I mean, if it didn't seem immediately obvious, then it probably doesn't.
Because I mean, sprinting just like lowers, like it uses up stamina, obviously.
Right.
So if you have more weight, you obviously can't sprint for very long. But yeah, I think it's cute.
Okay.
It's a fun little kind of like mostly chilling out
social game.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not much of I've never really been into that genre of game, like the just straight social multiplayer game. I like having tasks to do, but like of the one, because like I've seen so many other games like come and go in the blink of an eye of like, oh, this is the new hotness for streaming for this week, and none of them have looked even remotely interesting. But this one I could see myself like mostly I think because like the mountain changes every time, that like, oh, if we had a bad time this day, like we're not going to tackle the same thing tomorrow, basically. And I think that the fact that it is somewhat curated, they're not just like re-rolling every time. The devs are looking at it in some way before pushing something out. I thought that was interesting. I feel like that's a different way to do it than a lot of things of that ilk.
Well, that sounds all right.
Yeah.
And then other than that, you've also been playing the thing you were looking forward to a little bit for a while.
Finally, after some shipping kerfuffling, I finally got Digimon Story Time Stranger yesterday. And I've played it for about 4 hours now, I think.
That's a pretty good start.
3.5, something like that.
I will say, from observing from afar, the thing I noticed about it immediately, and again, you had described that you can go into more detail about how different Digimon games are totally different gameplay structures, but this one definitely looks more expensive.
Yes.
Because that other thing you said that was a port of a mobile, or not a mobile game,
was
a Vita game.
Yes, and the Digimon World games are a different type of thing than the Digimon Story games.
Yeah.
because you never like. I mean, I played the other two, or the most recent two, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory on the Vita. So you didn't really watch me play those. And this is definitely like an upgrade from those, because those games are pretty old at this point.
Yeah,
Both of those games.
Just from observing you play it for about 20 or 30 minutes today, again, there's certainly more voice acting in this than the other one. Like, it's got
all the cutscenes were fully voiced. I just kept you from the terror that was most of the sound design
little
in the
incidental
Digimon
stuff,
World
like the characters doing attacks and stuff like that. There's like some
Oh,
audio clips in there.
they were doing that in Digimon World. You didn't want to listen to it.
All right.
I barely wanted to
Fair
listen
enough.
to it. I was trying to save you by wearing my headphones while I was playing that one.
The UI seems like they did a little, like one or two more polished passes of like visually. It just like looks pretty sharp, selecting from like your little options wheel and stuff like that. Like, it looks like not quite Persona level, but more in that vein. And then obviously
the other
styled
ones
to, like,
were
digital.
like that. The Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory were like similar-ish, but I feel like this one is like just, again, it's an iteration on that shit. There's just more happening.
Sure. And then like the combat itself, because the other one was it a little more real time or?
Again, this is nothing like the Digimon World games, Dustin.
That's fine.
They are completely different.
Look, I'm speaking as a layperson who's watched you play both of these games over your shoulder.
These games are similar. If you've played any of the more recent Digimon Story games, be it like there was one on the DS that I played, there was a couple on the DS. I only played one of them. Or if you played either Cyber Sleuth or Hacker's Memory, it is very, very similar gameplay-wise to that. It's turn-based. You're just picking attacks. Your guys have default ones. You can slot in other attacks that you can also, unlike TMs, you can just yank them out and shove them into somebody else. They've got equipment. They've got more attributes, I believe, because like it used to just be like what type they were and then what attribute they had. So it was either like data, vaccine, or virus. Those work in a triangle. And then there's like fire, water, like insectoid. Like they have elemental types too. So those can either compound into an even more weakness, be evened out a little bit more if like they're resistant to one but weak to the other. It could do neutral, or if they're like have no weakness to one of the things but a weakness to the other one, it raises, like, I think the highest you can do is 300% if they're like double weak to the like your guy and the attack that they're doing. And they can learn different elemental attacks depending on what stuff you put in them and all kinds of shit. So that stuff is, if you've played any of those other more modern Digimon Story games, it's very similar to that. In regards to Digimon World Next Order, which is the game Dustin keeps referencing, that game is more pet sim than turn-based RPG. You are not controlling the Digimon. They are just attacking. You can give orders they can choose to listen to or not. And you are not, I had no control over those battles. It was just, I would get into an encounter and they would just go.
Give them suggestions, and some of the times they do the thing. Yeah, because the other thing I was going to compare it to, what, Time Stranger? Is that what this game is called?
Time Stranger, yes. Digimon Story Time Stranger is
the other thing I was going to compare it to is having seen a little bit of the footage on YouTube of that upcoming Pokemon game, Legends Z or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah. I think this looks a lot better than that.
That's what I've heard. The general consensus be rated.
So that's
the Steam analytics for this game have been just going up over the past couple of days.
Okay.
Like I get I get served like Digimon ads on like Instagram and Facebook and shit like that, or like suggested pages or whatever, and consistently there has been like I've just seen like, oh, it's a new record for Time Stranger, like concurrent players or whatever.
Sure. And to be fair, again, people haven't really, like, that other game's not out yet, so people haven't necessarily rendered an opinion on the final product of that Pokemon thing. This just came out. But as a layperson who is not super interested in playing either one, and watching them both in motion, I'm like, oh, this Digimon thing, it looks like the more modern turn-based Pokemon games. It's got like little dynamic camera angles as the battles take place. It frames up a guy nice when he does an attack or whatever, and like it's got a little bit of motion to it. And that modern Pokemon game looks like fucking. It looks like a MOBA with a different cam angle, and that basically makes me want to like throw up in my mouth. Honestly, like as maybe the world's most foremost MOBA hater.
Yeah.
A genre that I have negative interest in across the board. The fact that they've turned the Pokemon quote unquote mainline Pokemon game into like a sloshy, loose real-time
whatever.
Yeah, no interest. Not that I would have had like a ton of interest in like a more traditional turn-based Pokemon either personally at this point.
Yeah.
But like especially not whatever
Not
that product is. So
I mean, everything I saw of Arceus, I was just like, no. And this looks like more of that. So I'm just like, no, thanks. There are quite a few really cool and neat and I like quality of life things that have been added to this one. You have the ability to like preemptively attack guys, and you can also use it to like interact with like the environment, like debris in the way. There's certain things you can break to get items or whatever. If it's just one enemy and you have the ability to just like straight up kill them, you don't go into a battle at all. You just
that's cool.
You do the attack, it'll just wipe them out. You get all the benefits
I like that
of
a
it.
lot.
If there's more than one or you don't fully kill the guy, you go in with advantage. So like potentially like there could be 3 guys, but the guy that you attacked on the overworld, because they're all represented by a single Digimon, you can straight up still kill a guy with that attack. But if there's other guys, you still go into the fight.
Right.
But all of your guys, because it's like the FF10 like queue structure. You can insert yourself into it. You can like that. The order can get rearranged. It's not like, oh, I pick all of my attacks and then it plays out.
Play out
like
in that order.
It's dynamically changing as like guys die or like you get other advantage.
There is an action queue that like
yes, it's all up in the corner
or whatever might change the
exactly. But when you attack with advantage, you get all of your guys go
to the
first
top of the queue.
Before anything else. And if you get attacked, you start with disadvantage. So everybody, all the enemies go first.
Yeah, I like that.
That's really cool. They also just have auto healing. If you're just stationary in the overworld, a little thing will pop up and it's like in this many seconds, all of your guys will be healed. It revives guys. It fully fills their HP and SP, which is phenomenal. Like, so you don't have to use items outside of battle. You can save your items for battle and just stand still and let your guys get healed. It's so good.
What a funny midpoint, though. Like, I do think it's a better idea than doing nothing in that form. But that is funny that like hey, just chill. Like, what's the longest?
I've seen 9 seconds.
Okay.
Mostly, like if it's like, oh, you used one of your abilities. It's like 1 second, everyone's good. Go right ahead. Like it will tell you when it's done too. Like a thing will pop up. There's not like a clock or anything, but it's like, oh, in X second, like restoration has started. Like. Stand still for this long and your guys will be healed. But like
that's a good idea. That seems like it's maybe not, again, because if it encourages you to do literally nothing, can you get like be buttoning through item menus and stuff while that happens, or does that not count?
I'm not sure. I haven't I haven't played enough for that to really be too big of an issue. One of the other things that I feels like, I don't know if it's just like because kind of like Pokemon did this a little bit more, but the way experience is doled out is a lot better from previous games. Because you used to have, like, it was always, you had 3 guys, and then you had 3 reserve on you at all times. So you can swap them out whenever you want. When a guy dies, you're given the option to bring somebody in, so you can always have 3 out. And you can, like, still interact with your reserve guys. Like, oh, one of the guys I switched out is really weak. Let me heal him up before sending him back in if I need him. But those used to be the only Digimon who got experience. That was it. The other aspect of these games is the farm, where like you just kind of like, it's more like that's kind of the digital pet aspect of it. You can just send guys there, you can train them, like you can put different things down for them to interact with. I only just unlocked it not long ago in my gameplay, so I haven't done a lot with it, and it seems very different from the Cyber Sleuth games, so I don't know exactly how it works. But they could level up in there. And then, like, you could have storage, basically. It was a box. It's what it's called. And you had a set number of slots in all of these positions. So there's only so many Digimon you can put in the farm. There's only so many Digimon you can have in your box. So it was always about managing space. So you wouldn't have a living Pokédex, essentially, or field guide, as they always call it. That's just not feasible. Because you're not catching guys, you're scanning their data. So the number of guys you fight, it will give you the more of an opportunity to create one of your own. You just make a guy fresh. He starts off at level 1, but because like the base requirement is 100%.
And that's an additive process, right?
Yes.
So it's not like,
so you encounter, like, say you encountered a fucking Agumon, you'll get X percentage for Agumon. You get the same amount per level of the guy that it is. So if it's like a rookie champion, they give specific amounts. It's not like per species.
Yes, but the thing I was getting at that you kind of described to me when we were off the podcast earlier is that it's not if an Agumon gives you 20%.
Every Agumon is going to give you 20%.
Yeah, and so you encounter 5 and you can create an Agumon.
Yes.
As opposed to like a dice roll every
Correct.
time you encountered one.
But I don't remember if this was, I can't remember what the other systems were. You can get to a maximum of 200%. And their stats are just better.
That just makes you can make a better Agumon?
Yeah, so if you really wanted to like, oh, I really need this guy right now for this specific thing, you get that 100%, you make one. Or you could wait to then make a better one. Because like the...
does making one consume that?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a
so
choice
it sets
between
you back to 0.
A weaker one earlier, a better one later.
You cannot exceed 200.
Okay.
So once you hit 200, you're
make
like whoever many
the best starting version of that guy.
However many more you encounter, it's not you don't bank it either.
Yeah.
So to get more, if that matters,
right.
You just keep accruing that data. So now guys in the box are getting experience, which is huge. And you have like, it used to be in those older games, you had to go somewhere to access the box. It is just connected to your main menu right now. So you can, as long as you're not in battle, you can swap guys out like crazy. It's very, very convenient. And it just makes it easier because it is like Digimon evolution is very finicky and very fiddly, but I like that because you can go in both directions. You can digivolve a guy to the next level if you meet certain requirements, mostly stats. You also have like a your agent level, which is your character's level, by like getting like going to like a sphere grid type thing and allotting points that you get from like story beats. I don't know how else you get those. I haven't gotten very many. And you can progress forward, or you can go backwards. You get like a bonus, so like you increase stats when you de-digivolve. So the guy that you're starting with is better than the guy who went into this next stage. So that's how you kind of get stronger ones, or like continue through the different branches. Is like, oh, you get to the max level that this guy can get to, which like for most of the rookies, it looks like it's 20. But if you sent one back to a previous stage, raised him up, that level increases. So you can just keep making better guys by like, you don't need to have everyone because in a sense, there's a good chance that some of the branching paths for all of these evolutions, you can send someone all the way back, go down a completely different one, and then just kind of keep shuffling them around. So you don't need every single dude. You just need a couple of ones that you can like swap around in and out. And as you just fight more stuff, you're getting more of that data. It's very cool.
Yeah,
I like how
neat.
Weird it is.
Mm-hmm. And there's no permadeath or anything, right?
No.
Okay, so once you have kind of invested a bunch in a guy, like if they die 10 times in battle, it's fine.
No.
You just have to keep playing.
Your relationship might be weird with them because you do bond with them, like as you like are like certain like training things, feeding them specifically on the farm. I don't think you take care of them in the overworld. You just do stuff with them on the farm. More of that, like, kind of hands-offy type things.
I was just triple checking to make sure this isn't like a Fire Emblem situation.
No.
I can't let him die because then I'll be, that's
they might
10 hours down the drain.
They might not like you as much, and then so they might have like a harder time getting to different evolutions. They have personalities in this one. There's like some, like you can talk with them. Like I've noticed it pop up when I'm doing the like resting on the overworld. Like they'll get little speech bubbles over their heads and they'll ask like a question, and some of the answers will have different little symbols next to them that'll send them into different personalities depending on how you answer. And that seems to change like an inherent trait that they have. It might have something to do with like later evolutions. I haven't looked too much into the Digivolve menu yet because I'm not strong enough to get them past Ricky yet. But it seems like it makes them more unique. Each individual one, like you could answer one Agumon's questions completely differently from this one, and they're like inherent, like they're basically Pokemon ability is different because of what personality they have, and like there's different like stat trees that you have to buff different like archetypal personalities. Like it's like, I don't know what those graphs are called with the 4 quadrants. Do you know what I'm talking about? The 2 axes and then like the different. It looks like it's that. Like, oh, you're more like brave and intelligent, so you might be like on like the line of that, and like there's a different name for. Okay. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it because there's a lot of information to look at.
Yeah, I mean you haven't played that long in the grand scheme of things.
But that's new. That aspect was not in there before. And then the one other like quality of life thing I do want to point out is that there is dialogue choices, but they highlight the ones that will progress the story.
Oh,
So
that's
you
cool.
don't have to guess which one it is.
Yeah.
Those ones are always
I
top
like
of the
that a
list,
lot.
and they have an icon
Yeah.
next to them. So
So-
there's certain times where, like, no matter what you say, the story is going to progress. But you can always ask for more information,
Right.
and, like, you're not going to leave that interaction prematurely.
Yeah, and so if you just want a critical path that you can, but if you want to...
Which I have been doing.
If you want to also, like,
Because
hey,
I don't want
wanna-
people talking a tutorial
I
at me
see
half
every
the time.
little, thing they wrote.
Yeah.
Click on all the other stuff first. That's nice. I appreciate that.
Because I didn't know exactly what the icon meant at first.
Uh-huh.
And then when I pressed that one, because it was the only one with an icon, so I'm like, well, I'm going to press that one.
You figured it out.
I was like, oh, okay, because the other ones were like, well, what is this? Who are you?
Right.
Like, I was like, I don't need that. Like, they did kind of tell me that, and there is a big, like, glossary that you can look through of, like, oh, like, how do you want to, like, do you want to learn more about, like, some of the stuff? They surface it in pop-ups occasionally, but there does seem to be more information, like, even, like, story-related, like, terms, like, oh, who are this? What is that? Blah, 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 blah. But I thought that was really cool.
Okay.
Because not enough games do that. So it's like, well, which one? Like, sometimes you enter that holding pattern. You're like, oh, okay, this is just a loop. I guess, like, Mass Effect kind of did that, didn't they? Where, like...
Not for, like story progression per se, but it was like they would show you up front which selections contributed to, like, your good guy or bad guy score.
Okay, maybe that's what
They'd
I'm
be like,
thinking
oh, this is a
of.
Paragon action. You'll get good rep for saying this thing, or this is a Renegade action.
I
You'll
thought
get
there
bad
was-
rep for saying this thing.
I
Which,
had,
like,
like-
usually choosing one of those also would linearly advance, like, move on to the next thing. But that's what those, like, those syndicators were.
Okay, maybe I'm just...
Before was like,
I only played a little bit of the first Mass
do you want to
Effect.
be like
so.
a saint, or do you want to be a dickhead, or
You
more
gonna be
neutral?
a saint, or you gonna be a Grinch? But I'm really enjoying it. Like, the overall production value is just a lot higher. Like, you can tell that it's made with more modern stuff, because that was a Vita and PS4 game were the last two. They're also on, like, Switch now, Steam. They're everywhere. You can very easily get, because it is, one of them is like a sequel/prequel to the other one. The two, like, it's Cyber Sleuth, and then Cyber Sleuth: Hacker's Memory are the last two. They are interlocked. They're like the same universe. Even though all the Digimon games are kind of, like, loosely connected, there's, like, one character, like, she's in this game, I've met her already, who's kind of between a lot of the different ones. She was in the Digimon World game. She's more consistent across stuff. But those two were specifically linked, and just, they're older. So obviously, they don't look as nice. But this one, like, there was one time very early on where, like, I was having I reached the, like, oh, go to this spot, and then, like, dialogue will happen at you. There was one time where that was happening, and, like, I was just watching, like something was dynamically happening in the background, like, making it feel like this was something that I was, like, experiencing this kind of disaster, which was really interesting. It was a little touch that, like, I feel like the other games didn't do, or maybe weren't capable of, or they weren't, like, designed to do that. So this feels a little more cinematic, which is really cool. They're doing stuff with camera angles, like, fiddling with it, making things look a little more, I guess it's just kind of, like, dynamic. It feels more like a real space in a lot of ways, which is cool.
And it looks cool. Like I said, I would like, usually when I watch something that you're playing and I don't end up playing it at all, or like I'm just observing any game casualty, like, and I'm like, oh, I'll never play that. More often than not, it's kind of like that thing I described with
Peak.
Or
Silk
with
Song,
Peak, where it's just like, it's really not my thing. Or, like, there's parts of Silk Song that I feel like I'm actually gonna feel that way about. This is more like quite honestly, I feel like this is a game I probably would enjoy if I gave it a shot.
I think you would,
but it's like
because it's more fiddly than a Pokemon game, but not in a way that feels cumbersome.
Yeah, I'm just
and it is also just a more modernly designed game than any Pokemon game has ever been.
Yeah, it looks cool from a gameplay structure perspective. It looks interesting. Again, the thing that will stop me from playing this is that just, like, there's other stuff. Like, I am gonna play Expedition 33 at some point. I don't know when that'll be. I haven't bought it or anything. Like, so, like, if it ever goes, I don't know that they'll discount it that much, like, this close to release. But if it ever hits, like, 30 or less, I'm just gonna buy it and then probably start playing at that point. And similarly, I do want to play. In theory, I would love to play Metaphor at some point. But in practice, that also may not happen, because, again, that's probably, like, a 60 to 100 hour experience that, like, I don't know if I have it in me to do that anymore.
The only reason you finished Persona 5 was because we were streaming it.
Yeah. But, like, those two games in that genre are above I would say are above this, just in terms of my personal interest in trying them out. So that's really the hurdle that you might have to come over. I'd have to beat these other two games that I may or may not ever play.
I just need to try harder to make you like Digimon.
Well, that's the other thing is like I would say that this is a point in this game's favor is that like I feel no particular way about Digimon one way or another, but I still sort of want to play this.
That's good. I'll take that as a positive.
It's a compliment. I would again to the game. The gameplay structure looks.
I'll take it.
Looks interesting enough to me that like, oh yeah, if I was way into Digimon, I would definitely play this. But as someone who is like neutral on them, it looks good. Whatever.
Huge shout out to the fact that yesterday, 25th anniversary of the Digimon movie releasing in theaters. Literally incredible. Oh my god. Extremely formative piece of media, extremely flawed piece of media. Love it to death. I had sent that information to Jillian and she was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it." I'm like, "Yeah, baby."
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying Time Stranger.
Yeah, it was it was worth the wait because it's been a long time since I've played an RPG period because there haven't been really any that I've like really wanted to play. Like I haven't touched a Pokemon game since Sword. So and I was itching. I was like, I want to play something, but I don't know what. And I was like, well, I might as well just wait. And that was the right choice because it seems like it's probably not going to be anything crazy story wise. They never are, and I'm not here to be blown away by a narrative, but I think I'm going to have a lot of fun, and it looks like there are some interesting things to entail. It's a time travel story. If Time Stranger, you are the Time Stranger, but it's interesting.
All right,
because it looks like it started at the end.
Okay.
So you've gone back now to reach that point, and we got to figure out why stuff was going wrong.
Lavos has exploded or whatever. And
what?
Lavos has exploded.
Exactly.
Or whatever,
yeah, we're going back to 1999.
Got a party like it's.
If I could make the Lavos sound, I would. I love him.
Very good. All right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll chat about that a little bit more in the future. So, with all that said, I think we'll probably call it a show.
Yeah.
I got to get this spliced together. I got to go work on more game stuff. Hopefully, I'll play some of that other crap I still want to play more of. And again, maybe I'll play one of those RPGs at some point. But
someday.
Too much shit to do.
You have played. I feel like you've played more games this year.
Yeah.
Than most years.
It's been an improvement.
Hell yeah.
So I do want to again.
You 100%ed a game. That hasn't happened in decades.
It probably has been at least 5 or more years since I 100%ed a game.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You get a Masterbot.
Hell yeah. That's next on the list. I'm going to play Astrobot.
Yeah.
And then maybe Tales of Vesperia.
Yeah, we're going to call it a show for now. Thank you, Lorraine, for bringing so many cool games you've been playing.
I'm here and I'm yapping.
Thank you at home for listening. If you've got a game that you'd like us to play, we'll try to do that when we can. Again, we've got a lot going on, but if you do, email us at podcast@cubicorngames.com.
Or email me your Digimon opinions.
Sure. Yeah, Lorraine would love to hear your Digimon opinions.
I will talk to anyone about Digimon. Literally anyone.
Yeah, you can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other places podcasts are found. You can follow us more deeply by joining our Discord.
Yeah.
Search for Super Cucumber on
Talk
Steam.
to me about Digimon on Discord.
And then click the Discord link there, or go to cubicorngames.com and click the Discord link. And with all that said, we are going to wrap things up. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.
Bye.